gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyper Conscious Podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, Alan and I are not in the same studio. We are social distancing. If you're listening to this, hopefully you can't even tell because we have some measures in place to make the audio quality the best that we can. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode with the one and only Jarek Robbins. Definitely a different episode. You probably want to watch that one on YouTube because there's a lot of things to see. Today, for episode number 237, we are going to do a 5-minute clinic on vision and why it is so important.
It's weird. You're not on my right, man. I'm down in the studio alone. I'm looking right at Kevin here virtually.
It's strange. I got my pajamas on. I don't know if you can see my pajamas under this, but I'm living the dream.
Living the dream. Social distancing. All right. So before we jump into this episode, I want to talk to you a little bit about coaching and how congruent that is with vision. So what I've realized over the last 2 years of coaching is that it's actually really challenging for me to coach someone, and Kevin's come to this realization as well, if you don't have a clear vision. Mm-hmm. The more clarity you have on what you want and who you aspire to be, the more effective the coaching is going to be. So this is a really congruent episode with that. And by the way, if you are interested in coaching, I have 2 spots open. I think Kevin only has 1 left. But peak performance business coaching, peak performance fitness coaching, lifestyle design. If you are a small business owner going through a tough time right now, particularly if you're a woman, female business owner trying to go virtual, that's what I've been, I think women have really great leadership qualities and they are very service driven typically. And I want to help them maximize their impact virtually and online. If you're a guy as well, of course, but that is my bread and butter as of late.
One of my clients today, we were talking, and she is a personal trainer who's trying to grow her brand, her business, her social media. Just from the things that I taught her and I told her, she went up from 200 to 300 profile visits a week to 1,000. She had 1,003 profile visits this week.
Let's go.
And it's just going through some of the fundamental basics that you and I have talked about and hone. Again, we are by no means any social media masters, but right. I do know what to look for now, and I know how to help others, which is, it's great. Very, very good. She's building an online training program now. So if you're an early entrepreneur, man, woman, alien, I don't necessarily care what you are because, I like working with everybody. But if you're early in the business, if you're early in your entrepreneurial journey, I would love to help you because we have learned so many things. And before we plug for this entire episode, let's talk a little bit about vision.
Let's talk about vision. Okay, so vision and the importance of it. Do you want to start with what you wanted to bring to the table, Kev?
Yeah, for me, the current reality that I'm living at one point was my vision.
Right.
I'll never forget this. Alan and I were driving to the Groton Dunstable Regional High School to be on Joyce Strong's, which one was it?
The Totally Well Show.
And we were listening to episode number 7 of the Hyperconscious Podcast where it was just me. The episode is called Chase Your Effing Dreams.
Yep.
And I talked about what my vision of the future was like at that point. And I had none of these things. My vision was to wake up when I wanted, to go to the gym when I wanted, to podcast when I wanted with amazing people who inspired me, who motivated me, who I was interested in, go to bed when I wanted, be able to spend time with my significant other and my friends whenever I wanted, and live a life that made me happy. And at that time, I had none of these things in place. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but you have to have the audacity. And we said this, we were interviewed on a podcast the other day with Marlo Higgins. You have to have the audacity to say out loud what you want your life to look like, because if you don't say it, it doesn't come into reality. If you don't believe it, you're never going to take action, right? And for me, I'm living my dream. And that's why when people say like, how are you? I say, I'm living the dream. At one point, this was my fantasy. And if you're watching or listening to this, like you have to have that level of, it doesn't even have to be clear yet. It doesn't even have to be clear yet because it'll change. But imagine what you want your future to look like. Like put that vision out there. I want to make 6 figures. I want a house on the beach. I want this kind of car. I want this kind of relationship. I want this kind of body. I want this kind of confidence. Then you can hone in on what it actually takes to get that. So for me, like I'm living proof of vision plus consistent pursuit plus learning plus resilience equals success eventually.
Right.
And I want to be the walking billboard for that.
The things that you said that you wanted on episode 7, an amazing intimate relationship, like you didn't have that.
No.
Being able to wake up when you wanted, you were still at your job, so you didn't have that.
Yeah.
What are some other things in particular that you
confidence,
Yeah.
Confident. A podcast. Like I wanted to be a podcaster. At that point, I'd only done 7 episodes, right? And most people last between 7 and 21. Who knows if I was even going to survive?
So
So
cool.
it's so cool. It's so cool. And I just want, if you're watching or listening, like start with a vision. You don't have to know how you're going to get there. You got to know where you want to go first.
Yeah. So I actually have something I wanted to talk to everyone about today that's very congruent with that. It's interesting because everything Kevin just described, if he didn't decide in advance that he wanted that and then take the necessary actions to make that happen, then none of it would be real. Because if you didn't decide in advance, I wanted to be a really great podcaster, why would you have left your job?
Right.
Why would you have partnered with me? Why, every action and inaction, so every decision you've made from that episode to now has been in some way predicated on that vision.
Well, think of it like this. Maybe I would have left the job, but I wouldn't have left it to do what I'm doing. I would have left it to go to another job.
Right.
Your
Right.
vision gives you a path to follow.
Right.
If you're just living willy-nilly, you'll take what the next best thing.
Right.
And that's a recipe for settling eventually.
So the story that I wanted to bring to the table had to do with, I didn't realize the importance of this until recently in the last few years, but I always have had vision.
Yes.
For me, it wasn't not having vision that brought me pain. It was having a vision that was incongruent with what I believe in and incongruent with my core values. So some people struggle to even have vision. Other people have vision, but maybe it's the wrong thing. And what they become is not exactly what they intended. So for me, from a very, very young age, and I've told this story, I wanted to get the President's Award in high school. I had a close friend of mine who basically their parent said, you have to get good grades. If you don't, you're punished. And my mom instead said, if you get the President's Award, you'll have choices in the future. So one of them is like, I want to go to WPI. I want to get really good grades. I want to get the President's Award. It's something to aspire to. Whereas the other one is, if you don't get good grades, you'll get punished. The difference is that I imagine like every single time I didn't get a good grade on a test, for me, it was like, oh no, my vision is slipping. Whereas for him, it's just, okay, I got to get good grades, just good enough to not get punished. So a vision will create a benchmark that is far more feedback. Because, for example, this person, if they got below a B, they would get punished. Whereas I had to get straight A's all through high school in order to get the President's Award, but that was something that I wanted. And so this other person actually wanted to go to WPI as well, and they didn't end up getting into WPI. And I did. And I honestly believe to this day, the only reason is not because I'm smarter. It's not because I was harder working. It's not because I'm better in any way. It's because I had a vision and he didn't. I was doing it for something greater. He was doing it not to get punished.
Well, if you think of it, when we did the episode where we talked about independent and interdependent macros, people love that one. If you have your own macro, then you're continuing to shoot where somebody doesn't need vision if they just want to be like you. They already see. They see what is and they want that, versus you never could see it. You could see it inside, but there wasn't necessarily an outside example of that. You know what I mean? Other than maybe a mentor. For me, it was Joe Rogan. For you, Tony Robbins.
Right.
If I'm your hero, that's great. That's great. That's what I aspire to.
Right.
But maybe wait until I get to my pinnacle, right? So that's, you can, if you want me to be your hero, picture me 15, 20 years in the future.
Right.
Because if I'm your hero now, you're only going to make it 80% of your potential, maybe.
Right. I don't know what we have for time on the clock, but
48 seconds.
48 seconds. Okay. Thank you for that. This is a fail forward moment. I'll have this timer too next time so that we can both see it, because otherwise I'll be too long winded. So that's the interesting thing though. Your vision is going to be the feedback along the way of whether or not you're making progress toward more of what you want. And it's on you. So like, for example, Kevin with the podcast, if you have a vision to be a successful podcaster and only do 6 episodes, you're going to feel more emotional pain for only having 6 episodes than someone who just said, well, I want to do a couple episodes.
Right.
And that emotional pain will get you back on track. So how do you use feedback if you haven't set up a vision and a benchmark to put it against. So for me, if I got a B+, which I did, I immediately had to take corrective action. I literally, okay, no more honors English, which wasn't necessarily the right corrective action, instead of just do better at English, Alan. But like, I took corrective action, whereas if he got a B+ in honors English, he wouldn't have changed anything because that's okay.
Right.
Whereas with me, based on my own goal, it wasn't okay. So it really comes down to choosing a vision that will force you to be your best self.
Yeah. And it gives you something to follow, but it also gives you something to use as a benchmark.
Right.
Right. Like if you're making $25,000 a year and you want to make 100, you know what to change. If you're making $25,000 a year and you just want enough to survive,
then you're already winning.
Then you're winning. And
you're already right. And you have to change nothing.
It's a very interesting thing.
Yeah. And here's the coolest part about vision.
Quickly.
Yeah. It's your own benchmark. You chose it. So you can throw it out anytime you want. If you decide this isn't what I want. And here, very last thing, promise. I got straight A's in high school. Dude, I had no idea what would come of that.
Right.
The people I've met, the things the value I've been able to add. Like, I didn't know what that goal would make of me. That goal helped me develop my mind 10 times more than I would have otherwise. And I now can help people with that. Right. So the rewards will be beyond what the vision originally was. And that's the other thing. It's really cool.
And this is just another reason why you cannot expect to have somebody else's goals pushed upon you and for you to want them, because you're chasing somebody else's vision, not your own. All right. We'll stop. I feel like we could do this all day. This is interesting.
Right.
Interesting. This is reminding me now that we have to, when we're back together, we have to put the chairs so they're kind of facing each other, because I feel like it's a different dynamic with me and you, and we can see each other.
Right.
I don't know if you're getting that same vibe.
I am. I like this.
Yeah. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, Alan and I have already ordered webcams because we realize that our laptop quality for the audio for the video is not great. So those are in the mail. I think they're going to come in a couple of weeks. But yeah, that's what we got for you for now.
Thank you for watching, and this is a trip, man. This is good. This is the first time we've ever done this.
Yeah. Yeah, and this will be up on YouTube. We're doing this on Zoom, so you'll be able to see Alan and myself. It'll cut back and forth. Like, everything from the Hyperconscious podcast is rolling forward. Nothing will change other than the location of where we record these things. And yes, we hope you guys enjoyed. We hope you guys are hanging in there tough. I hope you're still being productive, because I know it's hard right now. I hope you're finding some certainty. I hope that you're able to practice some sort of abundant mindset. Maybe it's through meditation. Maybe it's through visualization. But that's what we want to bring to you today. Make sure you have that vision and keep chasing it.
Hang on to that vision through this tough time. That's what's going to get you through. Like, because that vision is not gone. It might be different, but it's not gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this, and we will talk to you on Wednesday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.